Hi guys, we are back for gut discussion number 2. I'm going to talk all about the gut-brain axis, which I briefly mentioned in our gut video number 1. So if you haven't already gone and watched that one, do that first because that takes a broader umbrella approach to the topic. And I'm going to use today's video to take a scientific deep dive into how the gut-brain axis works and how our microbiome relates to all of this. Okay, so if you have a notepad or a pen and paper, go ahead and grab that now, and you can nerd out with me by taking some notes. So our gut-brain axis is actually a bidirectional link between our central nervous system and our enteric nervous system. So our central nervous system basically comprises all of the functions of our mind and body, so it connects our brain and our spinal cord. And our enteric nervous system is basically all things gastrointestinal tract. So everything inside of our gut is what the enteric system is. So when they communicate, when our gut-brain axis is in full motion, it's actually working on 3 specific pathways. The first one is with our endocrine system. So our endocrine system is the emotional control center of our body. So everything that has to do with our hormones, so it comprises things like our hypothalamus and our pituitary gland and our adrenal glands, everything that has to do with our emotions. It also connects our immune system, which we talked in depth about in that video number 1. And it also connects our autonomic nervous system, which is basically everything that we do not think about in our body. So our heartbeat and our breathing, that's all comprised within our autonomic nervous system. So in today's video, I want to talk about, we know that the gut-brain axis is related and it's linked, and our gut and our brain are talking nonstop every day, but I want to give you guys a little peek into how those pathways are working and how the microbiome specifically is impacting our brain and vice versa. So basically what we're talking about here is whatever's happening in our brain is affecting our gut. What's happening in our gut is affecting our brain. They're interconnected all the time. Okay, so there are 6 pathways that I'm going to talk about that relate our microbiome to our brain. The first of which is the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve is actually a singular way of talking about a variety of different nerve structures. But our vagus nerve actually stimulates the part in our brain called the hypothalamus, and we talked about that just a second ago. It's responsible for all of the different emotions in our body. So we actually have these afferent signaling. So it comes from our gut. Afferent means it goes up from our gut into our brain, or it actually relates to a variety of things. But we have these afferent signals that go from our gut to our brain that actually signal and stimulate the hypothalamus to release certain hormones. That's number 1. Our microbiome actually control some of those signalings for prompting our emotional responses to certain situations. Number 2, we have what's called neuroendocrine signaling, and this is really cool because the microbiome, the microbiota, so the actual living organisms that are inside of our gut, they actually help to stimulate the production of what we call neuropeptides. And neuropeptides are released into our bloodstream and actually help to stimulate other things to happen in our body. So for instance, for the digestive tract, for instance, there's a neuropeptide called cholecystokinin, and when that is released, so our microbiome actually helps to produce cholecystokinin, and when that is produced, it gets released into our body, and then it tells our gallbladder, when we've eaten food, it actually stimulates our gallbladder and helps it produce bile. And all of us have heard of bile before. Bile is what breaks down fat. Once we've digested fat, that's actually what breaks it down and helps us to digest it. So that's what neuropeptides are. Our gut microbiome is actually responsible for producing quite a few of those. The third pathway is so interesting to me because it has to do with serotonin. Serotonin is that feel-good hormone in our brain that helps give us a sense of calm and well-being. 95% of the serotonin that we produce in our body is actually produced in our gut. That blows my mind. Every time I hear that, it blows my mind. Basically how that happens is we have tryptophan. Tryptophan is an amino acid that we eat from proteins in our diet. And tryptophan is actually the precursor to serotonin production, and our microbiome is what actually metabolizes tryptophan. So once again, 95% of the serotonin that our body actually creates is created within the gut microbiome. Pretty fascinating. Number 4 is what we talked about last week. We actually skipped ahead a few steps, but number 4, the gut microbiome actually influences our immune function and our immune system. And I didn't mention this in the last video, but 70% of our immune system actually lives in our gut. So if we have a healthy gut, we are 70% more likely, if that's even a statistic we can compare, to be able to fight it off effectively. So we have what's called lymphatic tissue. And lymphatic tissue can be comprised of a variety of things, but our gut, 70% of our immune system that lives inside of our gut and is within the gut's lymphatic tissue, which is really interesting. And we talked about in the last video that if we have a healthy and robust microbiome on the periphery of our microbiome, they're actually the ones that are some of our first lines of defense, that when microorganisms are entering our body, it's able to say, no, like, you are definitely not coming in, you're going to make us sick. And then also that memory of remembering what we fought off before. So that all lives in our gut too. Number five, I guess, is our altered intestinal permeability. So, and this is specifically related to our brain. When we are stressed, or if we have low-grade inflammation that has nothing to do with necessarily our conscious stress, that actually makes our gut more permeable. And when I say more permeable, I mean that it's easily penetrated by foreign entities and foreign potential microorganisms that are going to make us sick. So that's actually a precursor to a variety of neuropsychiatric disorders like schizophrenia and autism and depression too. So if we have low-grade inflammation as a result of either mental stress or internal body stress, that can actually affect our brain's ability to function properly, which is a really, really interesting point about the microbiome's role in gut and brain health. And the last point, if you're still following, is our microbiome's ability to produce microbial metabolites. So as I told you, there are trillions of bacteria and viruses and fungi that live inside of our gut. And they're all from different families. Like we have some that are called lactobacillus, we have bifidobacterium, we have bacillus. We have a variety of different families of microorganisms that live in our gut, and all of them are related to the production of different things that help our brain. So, and which is why we want a robust and diverse microbiome. So lactobacillus and bifidobacterium, for instance, actually help to produce GABA, and GABA is the main neurotransmitter in our brain. So we need to have those healthy bacteria in our gut to help our brain function properly. There's also, like we talked about before, there are microbiota that actually help to produce serotonin through the metabolism of tryptophan. And then we have some bacteria like bacillus that actually help to produce dopamine, which dopamine and serotonin are very similar in that feelings of well-being and happiness. And our microbiota actually help to produce short-chain fatty acids. Say that 5 times fast. And short-chain fatty acids like butyric acid, for instance, that's actually produced in our gut and help us to store memories and help us to learn. So all that cognition, that's related to our microbiome too. All of this fascinates me because no, we consciously don't think about how what we're putting into our bodies and how our digestive system is affecting our brain, but it is so very much affecting our brain, which means there's really good news here. It means that you have the ability to keep your microbiome healthy, which affects everything about your life. So how can you keep your microbiome healthy? We talked about this before, but I'll just remind you really quickly. Number one, eat all the vegetables that your system can tolerate, and eat as many colors as possible. Those colors are phytonutrients that actually help to flood our body with the nutrients that it needs to fight off illness. Also, the fiber that's in plant-based products like vegetables, that's what we call prebiotic. So that's the food that our microbiome actually, live organisms actually eat. So the more fiber, the more colors we get, the more ammo that we're actually giving our microbiome to be healthy and strong. Incorporating some more fermented vegetables is actually a really great option because fermentation actually helps to introduce some of those live bacteria in our gut, which is a great option for a lifestyle modification if you're interested in that. Of course, probiotics are a great option and a supplementation to a healthy diet. However, big however, if you have not already incorporated more fruits and vegetables into your diet and gotten those robust nutrients in your system, and then you just jump right into probiotics, you could actually cause more harm than good in the short run, and it could cause diarrhea and constipation, which is kind of the opposite of what we're looking to do. But if you are ready for that step, contact me first and we'll come up with a good protocol that works best for your gut and your system. Another good tip for the trade is to reduce the amount of refined sugar that's in your diet. And this is a very hard one for most of my patients and for myself included, because all of that processed food, everything that comes in a package is usually riddled with refined sugar. But added sugars, especially those not from fruits and vegetables, really impact our gut's ability to function properly. So any chance you get to swap to healthier types of sugar or no sugar at all, you're going to be doing your gut a really big service. Also, get outside and move, specifically those two things at the same time. People that get outside and do exercise and movement outside have scientifically been shown to have better, more diverse and more robust microbiome. So get outside and move. That's a great tip. And the last one, I think, but the most important one for so many of us right now, is to reduce your stress as much as you can. Find the joy and the happy things that you like to do that bring you a sense of community and a sense of creativity. Those things that make us happy actually help to reduce and mitigate those stress hormones that we have constantly running through our system, especially right now for COVID-19 and during this pandemic. So find the things you enjoy doing and incorporate them as much as possible. Reduce your stress as much as you can. Rest. Don't be afraid to sleep more often. All of that good stuff is really, really important for maintaining a healthy gut. I hope this was helpful to you guys. Thank you for tuning in, especially if you've made it this far in the video. Watch it again, watch it a couple times, take some notes. And if you have any questions, if you want to book an appointment with me to talk about your personalized nutrition plan, I am here for you. So just reach out, ping me. Otherwise, have a good one, you guys. Sending you lots of love. Bye-bye.